Good evening and welcome to Skits and Quibbles. It's the arts and wellbeing show where it's always open mic night and we love to invite performers from the community. We have professionals, we have people starting out on their journeys, and it's a great place to get some experience, get some visibility and learn from each other. But today we have a really special guest. Now on this show, because we have a mental health show, we don't always talk about how incredible the arts can actually be when it comes to healing, when it comes to support, when it comes to well-being. But that's what today's guest is going to do. We've got Susannah Bradley. She is a play therapist. She's a sound healer. She's going to be performing for us as well as putting me through some exercises. So very excited about that. But to warm you up, I'm going to stay in this space because we've got the main stage already set up for Susannah. I was talking last week about choreography and beating time. We did a 4-beat last time, and that's a very strict march, and you can emphasize certain beats. I'm going to look at a 3/4 time this time. What can you do to a 3/4 time? It's a lot more lilty, it's a lot more flowy. It's that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And when you do a 3/4 piece of choreography, the emphasis is usually on that 1, 2, 3. Otherwise it feels a bit 1, 2, 3, feels a bit weird. So does 1, 2, 3. It can feel strange. So when you do something with 3/4 timing, always think about putting that first move on that 1 and then letting it tail off. 1, 2, 3, like that. But if you are now a little bit warmed up, let's go straight over to the main stage for Susannah. Oh my goodness, Susannah, that was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
That was absolutely beautiful. And I mean, I've I've experienced a little bit of sound healing. I think it's with the gong and with somebody speaking.
Okay.
So it's not quite the same.
No.
This really gets to you. Can you tell me a little bit about sound healing? How does it work?
So, sound healing's been around for many, hundreds, thousands of years. It's one of the first things that we used to use, the vibrations for healing.
Yes.
You know? And we use them even in ultrasounds. The vibrations show us the photographs. So it's used in modern medicine, but not necessarily as much as it could be. So what happens is the frequencies, all the bowls, all the instruments are all tuned. And so they're all specifically tuned. And the bowls are tuned to different frequencies. So they all have their own frequency. And this is, so it starts, the biggest bowl here is the C bowl. So they've all got their own, and so those different frequencies work with different parts of us.
Wow. Actually, whilst I was listening to that, I did feel that in different, depending on which one you were playing. That's really interesting. When we go to a sound bath, do we go to let those vibrations sort of wash over us passively, or can we actively take part?
It's generally a passive act in that we go and we lie down and we experience them. But what happens is, through the different instruments being played, so when you play like the C and the G bowl together, you get a perfect fit. So that's just a really nice, relaxing sound. When I bring in the E bowl that I've got there, that can start to release things and start to shift things. So depending on what instruments you play together, depends on what happens within us. So although we're passively lying, internally all those fluids which we're made up of and the cells, and you know, it works on a cellular level.
They're responding, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, and if anyone is sort of a bit cynical, shall we say, about it, there was a report some time ago, and this was in London. It was either the Purcell Room or one of the National Theatre places, where there was a certain vibration coming through from the pipes, and it made everyone want to go to the toilet. Because we're made up of water. Yeah. We are going to respond to it.
Absolutely.
That's really, really interesting. So when it comes to attending a sound bath, what might that process look like?
So certainly for a public sound bath,
Yeah.
there are lots of different ones, but for a public sound bath you would be invited in and be made to get comfortable, relax, do some breathing, relaxation, maybe setting an intention, because using intentions is really helpful, because the quartz, the crystals actually, the intentions resonate and put it out to the universe more, and it works beautifully, intention setting with bowls.
Yes. You mentioned when you were speaking earlier about certain vibrations, when you added the other bowl, it releases something. I have seen where people have sort of opened their eyes and they're crying, and it's not sad, it's just... why does that...
It's interesting. I guess it's the different energies. We all have different energies and we're all vibrating at different frequencies. Yeah. And what this does is it can shift the energies within us, and by doing so can shift all sorts of feelings, and some, people can be overwhelmed by emotions.
Yes.
And the lasting effect, it can be 72 hours up after the sound bath that you can be feeling things from it.
Yes, that's true. That's really interesting. It's kind of a bit like you might have this, I don't know, headache or something later on, and it's because something
shifted.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And with that, the things that shift, are we talking about those kind of stale energies? Are we talking about trauma release? What sort of things can happen?
It can be either of those things, I think. It can be physical releases too, but often it's those things that are really stuck deep in us somatically. And one of the first things that the bowls do when we go into the relaxation is activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and so we automatically relax, and that can help reduce heart rates, blood pressure, anxiety. So it automatically can do those things, but on a deeper level, particularly if you're doing a one-to-one sound bath, you can do on-body work, so you can put the vibrations to the parts of the body that hurt and really need healing, and you can those vibrations then go deep within.
And what was really lovely was you had the shaker at the end. Is there a purpose to using that?
Yeah, that just helps to ground. That helps change the energy up.
Yes.
That sort of shaking, yeah.
And then this is a bit of a personal question. There was some I noticed I like the frequencies of better. Is there a reason for that?
It might be resonating with you, as you need it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, that is really interesting. How did you train?
So I did my training through the Academy of Sound UK.
Right.
No, it's an international organisation, but specifically one I did was with the UK one. And it was a 5-day intensive, the first level, and then level 2 is another 5-day intensive. It's great because you go and listen to sounds. It's fantastic. You get daily sound baths. What's not to like.
And then something very special, I hope you don't mind me mentioning, is you have a hearing aid. And yet, of course, this is still going to work for you because it's all about the vibrations.
Absolutely,
Can you tell me a bit more about how this can be? It's absolutely great if somebody is hard of hearing or deaf to be able to enjoy sound bath.
Yeah, and I think it's the vibrational work that is what works. The sounds are beautiful, but it's the vibrations that change us. So you don't have to be able to hear it. You feel, I had noticed that the ocean drum was playing when I was playing the bowls. Did you hear it shaking?
I did.
A little bit? Yeah. So it's the vibrations that are making those things happen, because nothing was touching that picture.
No, I was wondering that actually, and I loved it. And that's why when I came around, I was looking around thinking, was she doing something like that? I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
It just reminds you of the waves and the sea. It's just
very releasing.
Oh yeah, it's
and the
beautiful.
sea has its own energy, and the sea is a really beautiful healer.
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Now, of course, though, you aren't only trained in sound healing.
No.
You are a creative therapist. You are a play therapist.
I am, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about play therapy?
Yeah, so we use play therapy with children, generally between 4 and 13 for play therapy, and then move into creative arts after 13. And the play therapy, play is a child's language. If a child were to come to me and have a talking therapy, I might ask a child, okay, so how are you feeling today? They might not even know the answer to that, because they might not know what their feelings are or recognise their own emotions. But if they come in and play, they can show me how they're feeling. If a child's coming in and they're angry, they're going to show me that they're angry.
Yes.
If they're you can see how a child is feeling, you can find their energy, and then you can work with what they give you. So the work I do with children is really indirect work.
Sometimes I think that's quite important for adults as well, the indirect work. Because we were saying offset earlier, sometimes it's very alien to go and sit in a room and so what's wrong? Because even if you're ready to see a therapist, you can't necessarily even think of where to start.
No, because... Well, no, you can't, can you? It's like, I'm just me. Yeah, what do you need to know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, now we've had beautiful demonstration of the sound bath. Would you mind taking me through a play exercise, please?
I will. So, I've brought with me today, I might just move my bowl down there. And I've brought with me today I should move this one as well. Okay, thank you. A selection of objects.
Oh!
So there are lots of different objects in there. So I'm going to ask you to allow a couple of the objects in the basket to choose you.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. Do I need to talk through my process at all? No,
well, just if you want, you can have a good rummage around. See. You don't know what's in there.
No, I don't. There's so much. There's so many exciting things in there. I was drawn to this one straight away.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to definitely
go with what you're drawn to.
Definitely drawn to that one. Oh, but then these are nice. These are all pretty. No, it's not a unicorn. Oh my goodness!
So many things.
Yes.
No, I don't even know what's in there, to be honest.
That's
not what you need.
I love this. It's a little secret here. We play Dungeons and Dragons, so our producer does this. It's like her character.
There you go. See? All sorts is coming out.
That's fun.
There is a puppet that goes along with that, I believe. He's here, which would be perfect.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, this looks like Freud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Freud!
And you've got his couch.
I won't keep the couch. I won't take Freud. But these two are my favourites.
Okay. So I'm wondering if you can, just introduce yourself to me using those objects.
Using these?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this one definitely. I just always like pretty things. I really like the pretty dresses. I like dressing up. As you can see for this show, I look very different to when I dress for the mental health show.
Okay.
It's almost... Whether it's a form of escapism, I don't know, but I think I've always liked dressing up. I'm very drawn to blue, actually, as a colour. I think it's a pretty colour. It's a calming colour, so that's something I like. I think the only thing, I like the dress very much, but I did see a brunette character, and I think I would have liked to have had probably the brunette, just so it looks more like me. Narcissism coming out there, I think. This one is really silly. I like things that are soft and squidgy. I can stick my finger on it. Whatever that means, but it's just fun to play with, and I think it was that. It was the fact it could be a finger puppet.
Yeah.
It's quite comforting. So that's what I would say.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah. So by doing that and introducing yourself to me using those, I've learnt so much about you.
Yes. Yeah, and not stuff that I would have introduced normally.
No. Hi, you'd have said my name, your name, where you're from, age, but nothing about you. Whereas now I know that, you're drawn, you like soft things, so that's a bit of a comforter maybe. Yeah. You love the colour blue.
Yeah.
So there's so much has come out from that.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's almost, I see with play therapy, it's almost like a way in to talk to children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you use this with adults? I mean, obviously you just did, but...
Yeah, absolutely you can. Yeah.
Do you find adults are a bit...
A bit reluctant sometimes.
Really?
Once they kind of get into it and working in the metaphor, because it's all metaphorical work. So once you're working with the metaphor, it's easier.
Because something that this may be a bit too Freudian, but sometimes it's like with a sandbox. You have, who represents this person, who represents, and you can actually get that connection because I don't know if you chose this to represent your mum or your dad, then that could say something.
Really could.
So I think this is absolutely fascinating. Where'd you get all these toys?
Oh, well, I've been collecting toys for a long time. I've got a lot of toys. I really have.
It's funny, just looking. See, she's a brunette, but her dress just isn't quite
the right colour.
No, not quite the same as that one.
Greeny blue rather than a bluey blue.
Oh my goodness, that's so revealing, isn't it?
Hello, join me, Stacey Bullock, host of Tools for Everyday Living on E360's Positive Vibrations channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on E360 TV.
Why is it adults can benefit from maybe even talking about play a bit more and engaging with something maybe a bit more tactile and a little bit, I guess, less cognitive? Why do adults benefit so much?
I think because talking therapy, we consciously say, and we can stop ourselves saying. We can filter the conversation. We can filter what we're going to say to make people like us, to make people think this about us. Whereas when you're using the unconscious, and then you find out more and you learn more. So if you're creating things, saying, okay, choose something to represent, your father, and you pick something like him, you kind of go, okay, that's an interesting, and then maybe your mum, I don't know, as a crab, and then, you can really look at the difference and how...
Yeah, because it's not even necessarily the Joker as the Joker, but it can be a character in a very strong pose and somebody who's very small. That's really interesting.
So
Wow, it's so revealing, and this is where I think sometimes we do need to explore the use of these other types of therapies to give us a way in.
Absolutely.
It can be part of a whole process of support.
It really can.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is a question for you. We all can't answer this question, but I'm going to try and make you do it. Why, as adults, why do we lose that ability to play as we get older?
Why do we lose the ability to play? I think there are a lot of reasons for it, and I think one of the big reasons is if we hear ourselves talking to children, grow up.
Yes!
Grow up, that's really silly. Stop doing that. Stop being so immature. We need you to be mature. So our conversation and the way we talk to children is that children are always wanting to grow up and be an adult. And adults, although we play in different ways of maybe playing games like football, netball and so on, or going to the pub with friends, that sort of playing. But we don't play with toys and so on because it's immature. It's a silly thing to do. Although there are games like Dungeons and Dragons you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that is a game and that is playful.
But even that, as an adult, it's got rules. Oh my goodness, the books, the instructions. You can't do this, you can't do that. You know? But that's the same when you're talking about netball or football.
Absolutely.
It's got rules.
It has.
It's got targets. It's like work.
It is. And the beauty of using play with children is when they're in the playroom and it's non-directive, then they can make their own rules up.
Because I was going to say, it's almost like when I was rummaging through, it was fun.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't want to, because as an adult, you think, I'll just take the top one.
Yeah, exactly that. You don't want to... I mean, you know, a child will come in and
Yes.
tip it all over the floor and go, yes, this is great.
Yes.
Let's find what we want.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, with that, not only do you get that grow up, stop being so immature kind of mentality, but even things like art and drama and music and all of that can be seen as, oh, that's not got any value, whereas it's got so much.
It's totally undervalued. Money, if you're working in the financial world, if you're working in a world that makes money, the corporate world, that is what we should be aiming for all the time. And actually, yeah, it doesn't look like a fun world to me.
No, and also the funny thing is, if you are talking about money, the arts sector brings in quite a lot of money when it comes down to it, and in computer games and things like that.
Absolutely, film and so on.
Yeah,
you know?
It's got to come from the imagination somewhere. Now, as well as play therapy, so you are a woman of many talents. You are also a creative health therapist.
Yeah.
Now, that is utilising art, drama, music, all of those different things. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got there, your journey to...
Yeah, I guess it's all part of the play therapy journey, really. I trained as a counsellor, and then through the play therapy training, I then went on to do more creative arts training, so sand play therapy and clay therapy, and also, you know, lots of art therapies as well included in that.
Wow. And creative health, is that largely the creative arts, as in the art, pottery and so on, or can it also include the drama music side?
It can include the drama and music side of things as well. Yeah, we generally use, or I generally use a sort of whole toolkit of, because you don't know who's going to respond well to what until you're there in the space, you know, until they're there. So it might be some drama, it might be working things through that way, it might be even using puppets or something, you know, because you can get two puppets to talk and say things that are a bit like the third chair thing, you know, it's all of those. Yeah.
The funny thing is, this is back to stereotypes again. When I was studying psychology many, many years ago, there was almost that stereotype of the empty chair, and then you go and hit it with a bat, and I know it can, and that can be a really helpful exercise actually. So I'm not diminishing it in any way, but things like puppets and giving your voice to someone else really makes a difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, what have you seen in your work where people have been able to maybe voice things that they would never have been able to before?
I think one of my first play therapy clients taught me so much because she was a selective mute. And it's a really steep learning curve for me, but it was amazing as well. And we used a puppet in the end, and I had to go and pick her up with the puppet from her classroom and take her back to the therapy room, but the puppet became curly. And he was her puppet. He was her, I guess, transition from one space to another, but also in the space he could then talk, and she could communicate with me through the puppet, and that eased her mutism quite beautifully. Yeah. Yes,
and also it helps you connect and learn what she needs as well,
without her having to use her voice. Yeah. Because people often can't talk.
It's really interesting, and whether that's nature or nurture, it's one of those things. If they've always been told, you know, just stay quiet.
Stay quiet. Sit in the corner.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Well, now sort of going on to creative health, can you take me through a creative health exercise?
Yeah, let's have a go at this.
Okay.
Have you got some pens?
I do have some pens. I'm going to just go off to the side and grab them.
Okay.
Do you have some?
So I've got some paper.
Okay.
Keyboard, haven't you? That's useful.
Okay,
just
lovely.
give you that.
Right.
And what I'm going to say is, Can you, because obviously this is an imaginary situation,
Sure.
you know, just think of a feeling. So maybe you're feeling something
Okay.
now. Okay.
And it can be anything. So what I'm feeling now, or just
A feeling.
A feeling.
A feeling for
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
keep that feeling in mind.
Yes.
And just tell me when you think about that feeling, where do you feel that in your body?
I think when I think about that, I feel it here. I feel it in my chest.
In your chest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you picture that feeling in your mind at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, what colour might it have?
I've come back to blue again.
Okay.
And it's not just that, it's actually sort of like a protective cape as well, kind of
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
And so how big is it then?
Funnily enough, I think it's only, but maybe that's just, sartorial. It's kind of here to here. It's
Okay.
just this kind of, that area.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm wondering if you can show me what that feeling looks like
Well,
by drawing it.
a lot of
There's no rights or wrongs.
this is going
There's no
full circle.
judgments.
No, straight away. This is the only thing I was sort of thinking. I can't draw very well, but
You don't need to draw. It's, there's no judgment.
Those are supposed to be waves.
Okay.
And sort of sea foam, and then it's the sea. It's just this whole thing about the sea, just not too much, but just washing gently, forward and back, and it's just a very comforting, peaceful kind of space, but positive.
Okay.
So the funny thing is, when you first said to picture the emotion, I got the image straight away,
Okay.
and then I had to kind of put my finger onto what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just joy, and I think that's where you've got the waves coming. It's the excitement of the waves, but it's peaceful.
Uh-huh.
It's a mixture of the two, and it's a very happy space.
It's a happy space.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to look at your image?
Well, again, adult, I judge myself. I go, I can't draw that. Doesn't even look like, what it doesn't even look like what it was in my head. But what is nice is it just reminds me of, I spent quite a lot of my childhood by the sea.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, I didn't enjoy that time in my life, but I did like the sea. And so now, even, I think most of us do, when we're going somewhere, we go, oh, there's the sea. It's really
Exciting.
It's exciting and it's lovely. It's not the same with rivers. I mean, it's nice to see water, but it's the sea that makes that difference. And so for me, it takes me back to probably the nice times, or maybe again the sounds. So that's probably why I like the drums so much, because that's what I could hear a lot of. So I think it takes me back to I guess times where you don't need to think about too much. Because I was growing up then, so I wasn't having to make decisions on my own.
All those grown-up decisions that we
Yeah,
have to make. Yeah.
I love that. Again, just a simple drawing makes a difference. How do you support somebody who just can't get past, I can't draw anything? How do you support?
Well, we might not use drawing then. Might use
okay.
these. Might use drums. I might give them a drum and say,
Beat out the feeling.
Yeah, show me how you're feeling with the drum. I might use lots of different things.
Do you have anything also, this is going probably a little too deep, but with the shapes and things, does that come into it as well?
It does,
really? That's really interesting, because I noticed I was trying to use lighter because it was more fluid rather than I know when I'm angry.
Well, but when you do think that, it is that expression of, and it's like somebody might draw something and then cover it out, and they might not be ready to see that. Yes. They might not be able to see what they've created, and so have to get rid of it or throw it away or something. So there's lots to it. The
interesting thing is, I'm actually really curious why this isn't used more as a way into any form of therapy, because, as I say, it is so alien to sit there. It's almost as if you let someone just play with some toys, see what speaks to you, see what you want to, what you're connecting with. You've already got a topic of conversation.
Absolutely, you have, yeah.
Why do you think it's not used as much as it could be?
I don't know. Well, that's a massive question, I
Yeah,
think, isn't
it
it?
is,
And,
sorry.
No, that's okay. I just think that maybe people aren't, well, trained that way, and so don't really think about using those things and know how to. And as adults, you know, you've been very cooperative and dive straight into it, but an adult might go, well, I don't know. I mean, none of them. They're just toys. And have that. I guess there's a big resistance because when we start tapping into ourselves, we can go, and these can go deep really quickly because we're not expecting it. Because we go, oh, well, this one and this one. Okay, tell me a bit about. Oh. You know,
it's the subconscious that's come straight out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really fascinating. The thing about creative health as well, it can be really helpful when it comes to healing, but it's really helpful as a preventative to mental ill health. It's really good for well-being. Again, how do we convince people that this is so important?
Yeah, without the reluctance, it's really hard, I think, because we're told so often that medication will make everything better. And so on, and I'm just wondering what you were thinking then.
Just in that moment, we're told that's the solution. It just makes the symptoms go away. And I think in that moment, what I was thinking was, how would you use it preventatively? How might you? So we're now talking about the well-being aspect of it.
Yeah.
How would you do that? Because sometimes I think the action speaks louder than us talking about it in a way.
Yeah. Well, I think just offering up groups maybe, you know, and having group activities of maybe going, I mean, there are things like this, the coffee and knitting and things like that. I was going to put something else, but I won't. So, you know, different things are used, but I guess what you do need is that therapeutic relationship as well, because that's the beauty of the therapy, you know, is the way it works. The reason it works is because of the therapeutic relationship. But I think people using things creatively is really important.
You actually make a really good point about the therapeutic relationship, because that's where it's not the same as somebody who's trained in acting or dancing going, oh, I can do that, because you're not trained to hold the space. No. As a therapist, you're trained to hold space, aren't you, and to create a safe space. I mean, what does that look like to you, the safe space?
The safe space, well, it's exactly what that is, but generally I would be very consistent in my work and have the same space, the same time, the same venue, everything the same stuff in the room, so that it feels safe, so that somebody coming into the space knows what to expect. And immediately they can then feel, you know, relaxed and trust that it's going to be a same.
And that non-judgmental space as well, because I know if you come from a performing world, it's incredibly judgmental.
Yeah, it is.
And actually that's where I think these people who are professional actors, dancers, singers and so on, you do need to take a step back from your profession and understand what the therapeutic profession needs, not just, let's just throw some dance into doing something helpful for others. It doesn't work that way.
No.
Gosh, oh my goodness. So what is your career journey to training? How do we go about, if we're really wanting to be a play therapist, a creative health therapist, sound healer, what would you suggest?
So for play therapy and therapeutic, I would suggest possibly going down a counselling route first, but you don't have to be a counsellor to be a therapist and to do play and creative arts. I did my training through the Academy of Play and Creative Therapies, but there are lots of different organisations out there that offer lots of different trainings. Mainly based in London, they seem to be, but actually, you know, they do trainings all over the country. And for play and creative therapies, I would be looking for creative therapy courses.
Very specific,
very specific. Although you can become a music therapist or an art therapist or a drama therapist, so there are lots of different therapeutic, interventions and so on that all work using the arts.
Which is your favourite? Because you do so many amazing things. That's like asking your favourite child, isn't it? Sorry.
Really. Right now, I guess my favourite is sound, because it's my newest baby, and I'm like really loving it. And last year I was quite ill. I had a facial pain. It was like trigeminal neuralgia, but I'm off the medication for it now and everything, but I think sound actually was the thing that really helped heal it. And so I'm a real advocate now of using the sound and the vibrations to heal.
I love it, but all three sit so beautifully together.
They work really well.
Yeah, oh my goodness, it's just been so enlightening having you on and seeing you at work. So thank you so much for taking me through those exercises. That was brilliant. We're going to throw you into a little challenge now, but we're going to keep the space safe by keeping everything here. But we are going to go over to our Great Dream Challenge. Right, Susannah.
Okay.
This is our Great Dream Challenge. The 10 Keys to Happier Living are from Action for Happiness, and it's all the things that are really good for us to do to improve and maintain our well-being. So what happens is you have got 1 minute to go through all of those things. I will say giving, what do you do for others? You tell me. Relating, exercising, and no pressure. We do have quite a high pass rate on the leaderboard, but don't worry, I'm right down there. I got as far as resilience and then ran out of time. So you know, it's really just for fun, for fun, and get you thinking about your own well-being. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Giving.
Okay, well, I'm a therapist, so yeah, I give.
Relating, connecting with others.
Yeah, I guess through therapy I connect a lot.
Yes. Exercising, looking after yourself.
I go to the gym pretty much every day.
Appreciating the world around you.
I walk my dogs every day.
Trying something new.
I'm always trying something new. I love trying new things, so yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Having goals, direction, having a goal.
Yeah, I generally have something that I'm aiming towards.
And resilience, bouncing back.
Quite good at bouncing back. I don't like to think that things faze me if I can.
Nice. Emotions, taking a positive approach to life.
Yeah, I take a positive approach all the time, I think.
You can see that. Acceptance of who you are.
Yeah, after many years of therapy, I think I'm very comfortable with who I am now.
I love that. And meaning, being part of something bigger and finding purpose.
Yeah, I think yeah, the world itself, you have to be part of it. Yeah, something bigger.
Perfect. Look at that. You've got time to spare. So you join, if I can spell, you join the top of the leaderboard as well. Look at that. We are doing so well up here. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Let's head back over to the main studio. So, Susannah, you've just said the sound healing is one of your newest things that you're really excited about. So what is next for you?
I think I'm going to keep building up on the sound practice for now and really, integrating that into my work and how I can use it with my clients, my therapy clients, as well as, using public sound baths and doing maybe some corporate events, because obviously, corporate people need some downtime, and a well-being day is a really great place to have a sound bath, I think.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I think something like a sound bath, in a way, even if you don't want it to, it's going to hit your vibrations.
Exactly. It's going to do something to you, whether you want to engage or not.
Yeah, because with meditation and things, you can sit there and just shut your eyes and completely be thinking about that email you've got to write. This, you feel it.
Takes it in. You take it, and it fills your head.
Yes, yes, it really does. Again, even if you're resisting it in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Where can we learn more about you and bring you in and so on?
Yeah, well, I've got two sort of companies at the moment. I've got Play Therapy Bedford, which is my local play therapy company, and Reiki Healing Bedfordshire is my sound and Reiki, because I do Reiki as well. Crystal healing and
Oh gosh, I would love to learn more about that. So please come back, and we'll bring you onto the mental health show to talk about Reiki.
Cool.
That would be fantastic. Now we're going to let Susannah set up, and she's going to play us out with another sound bath.